Hello and good evening. It's Aarnimetsa from PokerMania.com, and today it's one part of our from $150 to 1K project. As you can see here from the USDs, that's the project bankroll, it's not going well. And today I've had time to play for one session. It wasn't a good one in real money results. So if we are looking at the whole project, we are at since date from 15th. We can see that we haven't been as lucky as we should have been. So that's something to take into mind. And now I noticed that I haven't taken the chats, but I have still time to do the chats while we wait for the games to start. So today's game plan is going to be to play some 9max 1.5s, probably unsurprisingly, since we have been doing that for, I think this is the fourth English stream on the $1.5 9maxes. But well, it is what it is. And hopefully we are going to turn it around today and start hitting some lucky streaks. Yeah. So I'm going to start the session and we'll wait when we are having the first tables. Generally in 1.5s it doesn't take long before the tables get started, but could somebody confirm to me that everything is working? You can also see the updates on our English site. The project blog is updated. Probably not daily, but it's getting updated still. I haven't been the most motivated to update it since I haven't had even enough time to play after wrangling with some technical issues. And I think what I did yesterday, I think that I have solved the technical issues around it, so that's nice. And Kaleon and Tappipe and Deja says that it's working okay. Thank you guys. Helps me when I know that everything is working fine. So basically, I don't know. As I wrote in the project blog, I don't even know what to say. Right now, combined for the two projects, we are 215 point some dollars below EV. So I have been like 144 buy-ins. 140 something buy-ins, unlucky. Unluckier in the games than I should have been, and I haven't even played good volume. This is like 2.4k games, so it's basically like losing more than 7% compared to what I should have been. Should have been getting, and it has taken a toll on the mental side as well. Or as well as when you are thinking about like when does this run stop and can't get any oxygen for the project. It's not going to be the funnest project to be in. This is one of the spots that I think that people are doing a lot of mistakes. And I think that this is a pretty easy spot to fold ace king. And even though we see now that we would have had an okay spot, I still think that it's correct to fold ace king there, since there are two people already all in and there are going to be two more that can get all in, and I think it's going to be quite likely that someone is having pocket kings or pocket aces. And even if we are seeing only pocket queens, we are not that happy. And Calleon said that had update in Stack and Tile and it did screw something up. Had to set up it again for microgaming. So yeah, should not be updating for without a good reason. And sometimes even if you have a good reason, like there is also always risk and reward. Like I watched the release logs that the problem I was having with the previous system was fixed at some point, but probably it wasn't exactly the problem that I had the problem with. So my pain point didn't get fixed, but then I got new problems. So what can you do? What can you do? And generally, if you don't have any problems, everything is going fine, and you don't see a release note that something good has happened, usually you shouldn't be updating. I think it's different for something like Hold'em Resources Calculator or something that because it doesn't require orchestrating with another tools, but something like Session Lord or Poker Stars, when there are multiple tools that depend on each other, or Poker Tracker, those are usually tools that you don't want to update without a good reason. Calleon said 1.5k $5 game and so much chips in there from those flat colors as well. I would probably have gone with Ace King because of those extra chips. I don't think about them as extra chips. I think that they are going to be there are going to be some extra problems rather than extra chips because of the probabilities that they might still wake up with a good hand, or they might be blocking my hands still. uh Ace 6 suited, nice suited ace. Depends on if this guy's flat call as well, this half a pot bet, then this is going to be an excellent spot to shove. And basically, even with one flat call, I think this is going to be an excellent spot to shove and get some money in the middle. And like even if people are folding now, it's still going to be a great spot risk to reward ratio wise. And like we are only behind pocket fours and 9-4 and pocket nines. Pretty much all the other hands we are at least flipping with. And flipping when there is going to be extra money in the pot is not going to be a bad thing. But generally, I think that people in the spots where there are multiple people already all in, I think that people are just too happy to go all in with something like Ace King off that isn't that solid of a hand. Or like it is a solid hand, but if there are already multiple people all in, you are generally you are not having the best hand. Pocket eights, I think that the most profitable way to go would be to shove here. And yeah, like if we have unknown opponents, like this is pretty awesome, I think, for today. That we are having pretty much like unknown players on every table. In here with pocket eights, we are going to raise and we are going to call every other guy, probably except this Illwish. Now that I'm thinking about it more, might get more enticing to be calling him if he shoves. Interesting, interesting. Usually I take note on this type of situations. If people are waiting a long time in situations that should be self-evident against me. If we have really little fold equity, calling would be more plus EV in my opinion. Might be. With calling, there is a slight problem in a way that if we call, there is going to be an opportunity that we are going to get pushed out of the hand on the next turn if the pot doesn't grow enough. But well, it guarantees at least a three-way pot basically. Mm. Yeah, the 449. I think that there will be opponents that are also calling with weaker flush draws, and I think in general that there will be people calling with just nines, and we are going to have nice equity pretty much against anything. But also, when we are having such a great draw, it kind of pays up to have as many people on board as possible, and flat calling would entice more people carry on with the pot. So many strangers today. Usually I like strangers in a completely non-creepy way. I like when I have an unknown table, especially in 1.5, since I think that usually unknown players are not going to be that good in 1.5s. And we have gotten one table to go quite nicely. Of course, if I know that there are going to be players that I like playing against, those are going to be even better. But I take unopens rather than regs. Regs any day. With no fold equity, this is kind of crappy. Even though we're having so much dead money in the pot already. This is kind of crappy without fold equity though. And especially with the WTF. Our opponent did raise 4x with jack 10 off. Ace 4 suited is kind of those hands that I like to shove it rather than min raise in these spots, since the flop playability is still going to be so bad. Even though we are having like 15 big blinds. I thought that in general when somebody opens for 4x, then they are having hands that they don't want opponents to call, and I guess that jack 10 off might be a hand that you don't want your opponents to call, but you really don't want to be in a situation where you have to raise call jack 10. And yeah, Callan, the $1.5 games are reg free now. In a way, it's funny since I have seen games, especially when Danita had his project on, that we had like 5 players that there were 4 good regs that were all Pokerimania members at the same $1.5 9 max, and then I said that the games are a bit harder than I thought. But in general, I think that the games are in general they are awesome. And today has probably been one of the more awesome days. Good evening, Danita. Good evening. Just when I talked about you, and then you are here. And Callan said that that's a good tactic of open so much that your pot committee and have a good reason to gamble. I think that's like the opposite of a good tactic. That you are locking yourself into a strategy that's not a good strategy with the hand. How long have you been playing poker, Aarnimetsa? Well, this requires a reply. But I don't remember how long have I been playing poker. Now I need to think. Thinking while playing is not my one of my strong suits. Oh, the guy got eliminated already, so no need to worry anymore. I don't even know how long I have been playing poker. I think my first touches with poker were when I was like 6 or 7. That my parents used to play poker with their friends, but it was the old Finnish poker. It was like a 5 card stud, but different. Like in 7 card stud, you are given 2 cards face down, but in Finnish, the old Finnish game is called sökö, and it's like a 5 card stud, and there are some differences in what hands are good and what hands are not. But there are like so there are like 1 card is getting gotten to you face down, 1 card face up, so everybody can see it. No community cards, and there are going to be 3 betting streets. Like in Texas Hold'em, there is going to be flop, turn, and river, but there are like 2 cards are given to you face up, and the last card is given to you face down. And basically, the differences in order is that there are 2 4 card hands. There's the 4 card straight that's better than a pair, and then there is a 4 card flush that's better than a pair and better than a 4 card straight, but it's worse than a 2 pair. Since in sökö, when you only have 5 cards, you don't have much. And one story that I have is that there used to be a kitchen table that there was like where the money was slid through. There were like what's it called? There were like markings on the table that there were dents that the from where people were putting money in the pot. So that's probably kind of different. So I have been playing like from my first hand of poker to today it's like more than 25 years, which sounds like kind of long time. Probably longer than some of you listeners are even being alive. So 10 to 12 years in online. Yeah, I think that the first online account I made was in 2003. Might be. So it would be 13 years. Like 2003 summer, probably. But I pretty much didn't play poker after I went to university in 2004. So when I went to university, I pretty much gave up poker and didn't play poker, and I restarted poker at like 2010 or 2011 when it was way harder. Like when I first started off with poker, it was like I think that you could learn to win in limit hold'em, because like limit hold'em was the game that people played at 2003, and there wasn't a lot of no limit hold'em tables going. Almost all the action was in limit tables, and pretty much that people were so bad at the lowest limit tables that you could pretty much just read one article and like know about the basic odds, and that was pretty much enough to learn to win at that point. And I think it's quite awesome to see like how far poker has come. Like today it's going to be way harder to learn to win than it was at the time. I think this should be a shove, since I think that we can get some of my opponent's limp range to fold. So I think like if I'm thinking how many years have I played online, I think something like 5 or 6 years might be that I have like I have like played and not been doing a lot. But I think it would be wrong to say that I would be playing like 13 years since the first online hands that I played. We're at 2003, since I think like 2005, 2006, 2007 I didn't play a hand. Or probably from 2006 to 2009 I don't think that I played a hand of poker online. So there was at least 5 years that I didn't play at all. Not nice to know that you are missing tables quite quickly. Just have to call here. Pretty much would have to call with even deuce 7 off. Oh, with the nines crashing against the biggest stack with aces. Hurts every time, every time. And this would be a spot, if this guy would have won, that would have been really good for my EV in the game. And when this guy won, it's something that I ran under EV in that hand, even though I wasn't taking part in the hand itself. Ace 4 off close. Now I'll need to recheck what hand it was, since if I don't remember it, then it... Yeah, it was a three-way spot. I think it was kinda close. But when it was three-way, I think that ace 4 off is just one of those hands that plays so badly in three-way pots. Even though mainly we need to just beat the original opener, but I think that even ace 4 off, it just doesn't play well enough against the original opener. And having it three-way makes it even worse for hands like ace 4 off, but would make it better for hands like queen 10 suited, for example, that would play really well in three-way pots. And even suited ace would have a lot of additional value compared to an offsuit ace there. Like, I think suited ace 4 would have been a call. We are in the money here. Okay, it was a quick one, but in the money. And in the money in here as well. So now let's make the money come rolling in. I don't think that an unknown guy is going to be close to any two when he's shoving from hijack, or not hijack, but when he's shoving from cutoff with 4 big blinds. I don't expect an unknown guy to be close to any two in these games. I just find it pretty hard to believe that an opponent would be close to any two in that spot. And hello to Kauris as well. It's funny when I'm having an English session that I'm starting to mispronounce the Finnish nicknames as well, or pronounce them in an English fashion. So Kauris, what's going to be the name for the What's going to be the name for the Las Vegas NHL hockey team in 2017 and 2018? Yeah, the SB color is like SB color is any two. That I agree with you with. Oh, this guy limped with pocket kings. Sucked for me. Well played for him since he got me there. Got me there pretty badly. I still think that when flush draw misses, it's going to be a good call there. Even when this time around we were against pocket kings. And sometimes limpers are having fives there as well, but I think that generally people should play their best hands a bit more aggressively. Yeah, now I read the Calleon's last post. Yeah, like it was 4 big blinds open shove and SB caller is probably close to any two. Yeah, I agree with you that the SB caller is close to any two. Sorry, I misread the first post completely. Pocket sevens. I think that even in here, even when we are having like 15 big blind effective stack sizes, I think that in these spots, shoving something like pocket fives to pocket eights is going to be a higher equity play than going for a small bet or flat call. Oh, now it's going to be the first heads up. And now I hope that my opponent is going to be the worst possible. Trying to measure me. Kauri says that Las Vegas Black Knights is going to be one good chance. I agree with you. Even the guy has himself that owns the team has said, ouch. Oh wow. Oh wow. Having queen 10 suited and hitting a queen in heads up, we are like we just never can let it go. Like when we are having top pair and good kicker in heads up, we are going to be like we are in a Rick Astley song and we are never going to give that one up. Unfortunately, in that instance it didn't pay off. So we are still searching for our first win on stream. And Kauri said that I don't know, hope not Espoo United as it would be really bad. I don't know with the Espoo United. I think that there is going to be some problem like Kiekko Espoo is the name of a junior hockey team still. And I think that Espoo Blues is like it's the property of the bankrupt entity. So like I think that they are quite in a corner with the name that they'll need to have a new name or they'll need to pay for the old names. I think that it would probably be smart to pay for the old names, but I think that the people that are owning the old names, the Kiekko Espoo and Espoo Blues, those guys are there's just too much bad blood between the guys that like the new hockey team doesn't want to pay anything for the old owners since the old owners have pissed the new team's management off. I agree, and that's one funny thing that when I'm seeing like the Major League Soccer, it's really interesting to see like Sporting Las Vegas type of names for like what are they trying to do with the like I would understand like football club or but then when they are like United and Sporting, it seems that they are like trying to carbon copy everything from Europe, and it certainly doesn't work since I think in Northern America there has been quite a lot of traditions in naming the teams already. Need a cup of coffee. Well, that's something that keeps a grinder awake. Nah, just not enough space to defend, I think. Even though we are getting like 20%. But he's going to be in position after, and I think his range is going to be crazy strong when he's having like 8 big blinds and he min raises. I don't like this spot that much either, but I think that just the odds are going to be way too good. Especially when this guy can't like beat us out of the pot that easily. When they'll need to have at least a hand that will beat this guy's hand. I have already marked the ninja. You'll need to mark the ninjas since you can't know what the ninjas are doing if you haven't marked those guys. Hoping for the best, and now we doubled up. Probably going to get like one table here, even though it's not on the bubble. Usually, like my session lord is moving the tables when they are in the bubble. But now I try to keep like 2 tables visible for the stream at all times. Neo asked that how is the ostrich doing? Um, well, if I'd say something, I'd say fuck the ostrich mode. That's pretty much it. But as I have said before, like I know nothing about birds and nothing about farming, but I think the guys in Estonia they are up for something when there are multiple places where there are growing ostriches and birds that can't fly. Like if I would be starting a bird farm, I would be starting a bird farm with birds that don't fly. Like it's a lot easier to make fences. Like say that just birds keep there. There's a fence all around. I think that's going to be way easier than preventing them to fly or having a huge cage or something. And this probably shows that I know nothing about how birds are grown. And Cody says that this looks nice. Yeah, actually, those jerseys look really nice. And then there's probably, again, a question for mostly on Kauris, but what do you like about the Florida Panthers' new jerseys? That they pretty much rebooted the whole system. But for Neo, also, when I started today's session, I think that I was 144 buy-ins under EV for these 2 projects combined. So, and Detrito said that same outfit on streams. Yeah, I'm also having like today is going to be the winning day in Estonia, Vöidupyhä. That's usually at the same time as Finnish midsummer, but it's a day where they are celebrating their independence and the time that they got their first independence in 1918, I think. Even though they lost the independence later on, but this is an I think this is an important day in Estonia. So I'm having the Estonian colors on today. Yeah, yeah, Kauris, those are the new Panthers jerseys. I think ace suited is going to be good enough, especially when we are having multiple players behind us here. I don't know actually about this shove. Probably would have been better to min raise this, and I'm a bit unsure when we are still shoving through the biggest stack here. That is it the best possible move? I think that it is, but I think it's going to be closer. Mm, Queen 8 should be plus CV. And just thinking about what Mihail Sergei is doing here. I thought that Kauris would have a stronger opinion on those jerseys, since I think that those are probably the most football uniform or soccer uniform looking jerseys in NHL for the next season. Like the crest and the styling in complete. I think that it looks more like a football club than an ice hockey club, but I think actually the new ones look better than the old ones. I think the old ones were really dated, and the Panther was really tacky. I probably should do the same as Kubery does, that he's having those hockey jerseys and jerseys for the NFL teams, so he can easily change his outlook for. This is like if I would know that my opponent knows, this would be an excellent spot to shove and add some pressure onto my opponent here. Neo said that those 1.5s are my kryptonite and impressed with my mental game. I think that I have been a mental game wreck for the last moments. Like I must say that I haven't had that much fun here, and I think this is mostly going to be a project where it's about the motivation, and opponent shouldn't be folding much here. But still, like, what does he call the flop with, and then check the turn, and then okay, I think that he has the nuts. Generally, I think that the limp bet check bet line should give me enough folds in those spots. And Danitas said that I have a feeling that you'll get some great runs in the higher buy-ins. Yeah, I truly hope so. The first try that we got with 3.5s, I think that we lost 10 buy-ins in 12 games, so or like 8 buy-ins in 10 games. So we didn't have the best possible run. But I think that this project has probably been mentally more challenging than regular grinds would have been. Of course, if I would have been running like this much under EV in regular games, it probably would have taken its toll in the mental side as well. Like running this much under EV in like 2.4k games, it's going to be that I'm solidly having a run that's in the worst that's in the worst 1% of runs. Like if 100 players are running, I think that less than 1 in 100 will run as bad as I have run through during these two challenges. Might even be harsher, but this is something that I haven't. This is something as in these projects. This is something that I haven't been. I think that I haven't been that well adjusted, and I know that there have been some sessions that it has been quite hard to smile and be nice on the stream when you are just feeling that shit just gets piling on. Could someone please link the challenge thread to our Twitch chat? But it's going to be about turning $150 to 1K in hyper sit and goes. And generally, I think that this is going to be, or this challenge is meeting its end after I'm at the stage where I can't get any more tables, or I can't run the amount of tables I generally want to do. So when I'm at $30 or less, I think that that's going to be about it. And thanks, Detrusitol. Thank you. Great job. And I thought that I'm going to do daily updates, but I have been doing daily streams when I have been playing. And this is already day 6. So mainly this is about, like, after we have been kind of spinning the wheels, it has been mainly that even after I know that, like, I'm not going to turn at this point, I'm not going to turn the bankroll that I'm having at the $1,000, but this is actually going to be close against NXP Ninja. Yeah, let's do it. I think that NXP Ninja is having a range of almost any two cards there. Might be exactly any two cards as well. He's having a spot where he's having a spot where he probably wants to shove. Like if he shoves and I give up, then he's going to be the biggest stack on the table, and it gives him some opportunities for the. It gives him some really good opportunities for the future games. But basically, I have been playing most of my games in Hyper Turbo sit and goes, but I have played pretty much every sit and go structure. And before this, I have been doing 2 challenges, or actually 3, since I have already busted one challenge of getting from 100 to 1K with hypers. But before this, I did, like, in 2012, I did a challenge from $50 to 5K. That took me actually 2 months, even though the original target was 2 weeks. And in that challenge, I got from $50 to 1K in 7 days, I think. And then I did another challenge where a member of our forum challenged me to a duel in 50-50s, and at the time I had played like 40 to 80 50-50s, and I had played all the games on stream. And then we started with $150 for me, and my opponent started with 1,500 dollars in front of me, and I had 15 days to catch him. And I got up to 1.2k quite quickly. I think that I was at 1k after 5 or 6 days. So I thought that it's going to be easy when I'm going to play the games that I'm the best, or I have the best ability at. And but, well, right now it doesn't seem that it's going to be that easy. Ridix asks that just curious about your opinion. What is higher variance, hyper 9 max sit and goes or spin and goes? Spin and goes for sure. Those are going to be like there is no question about it. If we are thinking about like how bad can you run in spin and goes or how bad can you run in 9 max sit and goes, that's going to be. I think that you can run way worse in spin and goes, and I think that there's a decent or there's a good thread on the mathematics of spin and goes and basic like how bad can you run in spin and goes and what kind of a bankroll management is solid in those games. And basically, or in spin and goes, it's probably what's going to be the hardest for me in those games is like how high your ROI needs to be for you to have a like if your ROI is really high, let's say like 7 to 8% in spin and goes, then the games are going to be awesome. But if your ROI is like 2%, there is pretty much like no bankroll that you can play with, since there are going to be like the bad runs in spin and goes can be way worse than pretty much the bad runs in pretty much any other game. And Kauris says that it looks bad. Well, that's exactly how it looks. On the last post I said that epic shit run is epic, and as I said that I was thinking about doing another session for something like 150 games. But then I chose to go to the store with Deja and buy some beer and chocolate for the day. Mainly I think that if I'm going to get through from the when I'm going to get through from the 1.5s, I think that there will be like a week's games or somewhat like that where I'm going to hit the 1K. But it's not going to be a week from the start of the challenge. And Kauris says that really bad is only when you are broke. Well, this is your lucky day since we are having a real chance of running real bad here. Since I think today we are having a real chance of going broke, which isn't that much fun. Like in these challenges, like usually I haven't had the pleasure of going broke since I usually play just on one side. It has been more when I played on multiple sites, like when I played before, when I played for those rake races and such. Usually I just wanted to put like the minimal bankroll in, and especially if I played on some sites that were going to be a lot. Well, let's put it that they were a lot more on shady sides, so you'll never want to have a lot of money stuck on a shadier site. And they said that beers are in the fridge. I repeat, beers in fridge. Yeah, I think that if things are carrying on as bad as they have been today, I'm probably not going to promise a third session for today after this one, but then I'm just going to probably try to enjoy a movie, take a sauna, take a few beers, enjoy a movie, and think about something else. It has also been funny in a way that I probably haven't used that much time into game improvement lately than I have for $1.5 games. Like, usually I don't have that much time since I do coach a lot and I do have a lot of other stuff to do, but on this project I have used a lot of time lately to try to shape some of the rough stuff around my game, And Kauris says that maybe Arni needs some stronger beer after this project. I don't know. I don't know. I think that if I want to view this project with the rosy glasses, it's going to take something else than beer completely. Yeah, no Netflix yet. I think actually you can get Netflix to Estonia now. I just don't know what's there or what's the amount of content there. Might be good for my Estonian skills to watch the videos with the Estonian subtitles on. There's going to be a friend coming over on the next week and probably trying out some escape rooms and doing something else than poker, something completely else than poker, and already waiting for it. Mm. Actually, this should have been a shove. No need trying to get fold equity when we are having a really good hand. Jack 5 suited actually might be a bit too wide there. Even though we are having regs that are not going to take part that often in the pot. And then we got both of the guys. And 8-6 off. Getting more fold equity by min raising, but not getting 8-6 off to fold. That's rough. That's rough. Jack 5 suited probably wasn't a good open. That was too much for me to trying to make things happen. That was probably too much for me to trying to make things happen. With the king 7 off, I think it was better, but the jack 5 suited probably wasn't the best choice of actions there. But it's something that even though I make mistakes in the games, I think that I make way less mistakes than the general reg does here, and that's one of the frustrating parts in the games. Probably not going to do that long of a session today. Trying to aim for something like 1.5 hours or something. But trying to keep these streams interesting as well. So there's a story and there's something to happen, but still waiting on what's the something that will happen. If you have any questions or comments or anything, now it's a great spot when there is pretty much nothing happening on the tables. And usually I'm going to take the table that's at the highest blinds, where I don't have a table that's on the bubble or near the bubble yet. But this is a surprise for me. We are at 6120. So like 1/4 of the starting stack is going to be all in. Or there's like the pot is half of one starting stack. And there hasn't been anyone eliminated in the games. Probably with this average stack size, is ace 4 suited is going to be a really good shove. And I'm really interested to see like what are people going to call me here with. Ace queen, not bad. And we are running good, running good. First player eliminated at 6120. And Danila said that happens sometimes when some passive players take a lot of time. I think that it has mostly been that people have gotten money in here. And we can see that there are reg-like guys here, like 4 guys that are reg-like. But I think that it has mostly been that, as we have seen here, that when people are getting it all in, usually the shorter stack has already always won. So, and Cody said that the next coaching is after 5th day. I do know. I actually don't have a plan for the next few days. Might be that I'm trying to grind some if I have time early in the day. Early in the day and I don't have a hangover, but probably will be that I'm not going to stream since when it's midsummer time, it's going to be hard to get any Finns online. Oh, now Neo has a question. It's a smart question, and it's probably a smarter question than I can wrap my head around here. If you have a nutty hand postflop on turn and you are out of position and opponent bets, is it better to call and check to him on the river, or re-raise on turn, or call turn and bet river out of sequence? I think that it depends mainly on what, like how secure is your hand. Like, is it a nutty hand but a vulnerable hand still, or is it like it's a nutty and solid hand? Like, if it's a nutty and solid hand that pretty much you opponents can't outdraw you, then I think that calling turn, betting river out of sequence, or checking against an aggressive player would probably be the best option. If your hand is more vulnerable, then I think that raising the turn will be better, and also depends on what the bet sizing is. Like, if opponent is min betting to a pot of 12 big blinds, usually it makes sense to re-raise it with a nutty hand, even if you have a nutty and solid hand. But if opponent bets something like 3/4 of a pot, usually you want to flat call with most of the nutty hands. So I think it's going to be mostly of a function of like how solidly nutty your hand is. Like, how solidly nutty, like, is your hand like a big solid nut like a coconut, or is it like a peanut butter? Like, if it's peanut butter, then someone might outdraw you on the next turn, but if it's a coconut, then it pretty much can't be cracked. And with peanut butter, you wanna end it on the turn, and with the coconut you don't mind going to the river since coconut won't be cracked. And Kauri said that maybe I need to start my own project. after I update Windows and some problems to my computer. So you are updating some problems. That's a new one. But I'm dreading it. I'm thinking that I'm going to upgrade to Windows 10 on July. But I don't know, like if I completely lose my mind I'm going to upgrade tomorrow, like if I want to have something else to do than play poker, really. But and hello to Marcus Y on the Twitch chat. But like if I want something else to do, then I'm going to upgrade for Windows 10. And pretty much I probably have at least 3 computers to update to Windows 3 for Windows 10 for the during the next month or so. So I don't know, probably if I'm going to update to Windows, then I'm going to start with Dea's computer since she's having a lot less software installed and so a lot less possible problems. And Detritos, I have had Windows 10 from the start and there has been no problems at all. Then I have had friends that are updated to Windows 10 and it has screwed up everything. And then there is not that good way back. Like if it screws up everything, then even the way back will result in crashes. So like what I have heard that Windows 10 is like hit and miss. Like for something like 8 or 9 people out of 10, Windows 10 will be like, this is nice, this works. But for 1 or 2 guys out of 10, it's going to be like, now you are in a world of hurt. And if it's going to be so that I'm going to be in a world of hurt with Windows 10, it likely results that I'll need to do a clean reinstall. And when I need to do a clean reinstall, then it will take like probably close to a week to get everything done. Like I have software development environments that I use on weekly basis, all of the different tools that I have with related to poker. Then there's also like if I'm having some problems with some drivers, and so all of those things are just potential to waste days. Playing with coconuts or peanut butter. Yeah, that's the first one to hear it from. And sometimes I'm trying to like look up for metaphors that are making things easier to understand, since in poker, or easier to remember, like in poker it's going to be usually that lingo is quite technical and there are not a lot of stories. Why or flat call pre-flop with pocket deuces, then bet check bet. Yeah, it makes sense if opponent wants to turn his hand into a bluff, but probably calling pre was the biggest mistake for the opponent with pocket deuces, and then he pretty much lost the most money to me. And that was one good point in why playing medium hands passively makes a lot of sense. And Codis84 says that Windows 10 is no problems. Here it's just 110 and it works perfect. It's faster than Windows 8. Ah, this is horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Probably going to be a fold, especially when there's another guy all in. But it's going to be so close. Like against the Nash opener, it's likely going to be a call. But if my opponent is not Nash, then or tighter than Nash, then it's not going to be. Two nasty spots right after each other. And Detrito said that Windows 10 beta was horrible though, but after full release it has worked perfectly. Well, out of my history that I used to be, when Windows Vista was released, I was in charge of a multinational company's IT infrastructure and upgrading for Windows Vista, and fuck, the amount of problems that we had and that needed to be sorted out since we were doing software development in a company. So there were a lot of clients, and so it was not just like update for us, but also planning for what needs to change. And it was such a clusterfuck, to be honest. But I have been like really conservative after that. I ran after I had to update to Vista on the with the first ones, and I also for my job I needed to update to 7 during the first ones, and like 7 was a lot better than Vista. But after that, when I don't need to, I don't want to be. But when Windows 7 is like it's getting removed from support and Windows 10 is not, then I think that updating to Windows 10 is going to be, it's going to need to be done when it's still free. Like I don't want to pay 100 euros for Windows 10 later on. Oh, Danita wrecked the game with me. I can actually move the. But Detrito said that Windows 7 was like a quick fix. I don't even think that Windows 7 fixed that much stuff. Like Vista Service Pack 1 was okay. And also the software developers got their act together and they understood like what needs to be happening with regards to like how the files and permissions are granted, and I think that it was like not just that Windows 7 was a lot better than Vista, but the software and stuff were a lot more built for it. And I still think that like people are saying that yeah, you can still, yeah, like you can update to Windows 10, and even on PokerEye Mania there have been so many like questions when people like, now I have updated it to Windows 10, why doesn't my PT4 work, and now I have updated to Windows 10, why can't I stream anymore, why does my stream not work like it used to work. So it's not that easy when you are having all of the, it's it's not that easy all in all. And Kauris84 asked that, do you know when it's the last day when Windows 10 may be downloaded for free? I think it's 21st or 23rd of July, somewhere around that. And Detritos said that back to Windows 95. I think that nobody remembers that how horribly unstable Windows 95 was when it arrived. Like Windows NT for reals, or like Windows XP was pretty much the first Windows that was to be thought about as a stable Windows. Like Windows 95, it was horribly unstable, but it got DirectX, and when it got DirectX, Danita. Oh, I think that this is going to be a good call against Danita, but not against most of the regs. I think most of the regs are not going to be. And this is great when there is a reg that understands stuff on the big blind. But like DOS 6.2 was way more stable than Windows 95, but when all the games required DirectX, you needed to update to Windows 95, and then it was some instability. So, and for Windows XP there were driver problems where almost no consumer stuff did have Windows NT compatible drivers that Windows XP required. So the driver hunt was real, and when internet connections weren't as quick and the places to find drivers weren't as good as they are now. The update wasn't that easy. But something like Windows 98, okay, it was more stable than Windows 95. And Windows ME, I think people nicknamed it Windows Million Errors. So I think that people are wary of updating Windows, and for a good reason. And like running Windows XP, I did run Windows XP for my personal computer as long as I could, and only when Windows 7 got its first service pack, I think that I upgraded to Windows 7 after the first service pack. But it's going to be pretty much the same for Windows 10. Like now there's the first service pack is done, and usually with Windows I don't like to be at the bleeding edge. Like make one service pack, after that it's good. Same with the server Windows, is like the first server Windows is always crappy, but when you have the R2 version of it, it's going to be awesome. And Kauri said that is PT for some problems on Windows 10. I think that people have had some problems, especially when they have had a Stone Age Postgre SQL server that doesn't work that well on Windows 10. But I think that there has been some database problems and some display driver problems with the HUD that I remember. Actually, what happened in the hand against Danita? I of course won the hand, but what did Danita have on that hand? Ace 9, so dominated. But Detrudo said that those DOS-based systems that I'm dealing with DOS every day at work, stable as fuck. Yeah, depends on like usually DOS-based systems they are still remaining because they are stable and people are afraid to touch them. And some of those DOS-based systems are having problems since they work well when there are few users, but usually when there are a ton of users, then those DOS-based systems just screw up. Like when you could build DOS-based systems, there weren't any good databases and such, and the multi-user environments were completely crappy. 41% should be enough. Let's see. Ace Queen. Nasty, nasty. Then I bet out of sequence here, and it makes no sense. I should have checked to my opponent here. Well, let's carry it on. When we started donk betting, let's carry it on proudly. If we are donks, let's be donks proudly. And that's the spirit. Ostrich rising. Yeah, like even if this would be like ostriches walking towards a mountain. Or like a random animal fact. In Poland, they have the local bisons there. And the Polish bisons. Yeah, that's a real thing. In Poland, there are bisons. Or like relatives of bisons. But they are having problems with those guys that they are like, they can't keep them at the same area. And they are having like fences, and the fences are like 3 meters high, and the bison just go over them. I think that's awesome. Like when I'm thinking about a bison, I'm thinking about like 2 tons of meat and like a lazy cow or something. And if I'm thinking that like 3 meters of fence doesn't stop them, those animals must be like unstoppable. That one time they're just grazing grass and like Yeah, everything is right, and when shit hits the fan, they can jump over a 3 meter fence. Is Danita already back in the session? Like, I need to wonder where was the game where Danita was. Might actually be this one here. In this case, this opponent should actually be quite tight since this guy is almost forced all in. Or is going to be forced all in during the next hands or so. And Cody asked when I'm going to buy coaching for Danita. I don't think he requires coaching, but I might. That's going to be something. I have actually talked about these hands and sent like Deja a pack of my hands, and we have discussed a few hands that what I should be doing differently in the games, especially in six maxes that I have been having most of the problems with. But it's something like as I said that I have been using more time to improving on these games lately than I have been using in some of the previous months. So that's something that's good. Like usually when you are running bad, don't let the good crisis go to waste. This is actually something that I think that turn bet would have been better than checking. I called I called his ace deuce with ace jack, and then I called your ace 10 with ace or ace 9 with ace 10. So I was lucky against Danita today. We got it in good twice, and that makes me happy. That makes me happy to be lucky. Would have probably been a Nash call with the queen 5, but and Cody says that it's rigged. Like you haven't seen most of the crap that I have had to wander through. Oh. So I'm happy to be lucky even if it's against Danita. Like I don't I'm starting to approach the level that I don't care if I'm lucky against Danita. I just wanna be lucky against someone. And correct, Kauris, poker is not long term for lucky. Like poker is for long term for those that are making the work and are grinding the games for good volume and are having a decent edge. I think with the bottom pair we are having some showdown value, but it might be that it might be worth it turning the just 5 to a bluff. Better be lucky than good. No, in poker in long term it's better to be good than lucky. But short term it would be better to be lucky than good. And like having all the different outs, like having the flush outs, having the open ender straight outs, having the ace outs, like having 20 outs. this hand on the turn looked like I'm playing pot limit Omaha for all the outs it had, and nothing stick to it. Oh wow. And Detrito says that just win a 1 million spin and go, and that's all. Yeah, like if you win a 1 million spin and go, and I think someone won the 1 million spin and go, and it was like his third game of poker, third tournament of poker that he ever played. Like he got like I think 5 tickets to the with some deposit bonus. That I think it was something like a first deposit bonus. He got 5 tickets or something to the $5 $1 million spin and goes, and he won the third one that he entered, and it was for the $1 million. I think that's kind of a story that's like one of a kind of a story. And Kauri said 7-8 off versus King 8 off, you win. Are you now happy? Yes, I'm happy. I'm getting it in as an underdog and winning. That makes me happy. Even getting it in good and winning, that makes me happy as well. Generally, like right now, just winning makes me happy. That it doesn't matter. In poker, you don't get style points. And Detrito said maybe it's time to pick 2 more cards in the hole. Maybe. Like, if at first you don't succeed with the hypers, then you might turn into pot limit Omaha that's going to be the polar opposite of the games that you are playing. Or something like triple draw would probably be even more different. Then just trying to get the most money in. And they didn't want to give me more money. Unfortunately. But I think that on stream we are now making money and not losing money, and that's always nice. I don't even know how many games have we gotten through on the stream. 28. 28 games during the stream. And Kauris, the stream tilt and now go back. I'd say that it's more likely that Twitch tilted. Zero dropped frame on my end, everything on the server end looks fine. I actually think that probably if the game wouldn't be as complicated as it is, the Omaha High Low as no limit game would probably be a better tournament poker game than Texas Hold'em. I think it might be like it's also something that it would be a bit more bot proof than the game with. It stopped and started again. Okay. Is there still more guys that are having problems with the stream stopping and starting again? Same. I was hoping for same but different, but maybe there was a gremlin in the pipes. Like the one US politician that said that internet is a system of pipes. Detrudo said, how is it complicated? Well, try explaining for a regular guy on how the split pots work, for example, in multi-way pots, and like how does he earn, or what shows up. So like pot limit Omaha high low, it's going to be that even though the rules are clear, it's going to be a way more complicated game for the average Joe. But the way more complicatedness also makes it a better long-term game. And Detritus said that you can basically find very accurate push fold ranges. I think it's somewhat bullshit in a way. Of course, like the three-way equities in like heads up equities in Omaha High Low are easy to calculate, but I think the three-way equities are going to be at least challenging to calculate. Like having a similar tool like Hold'em Resources calculator for Omaha High Low is not happening, even though it would be a very preflop heavy game. I still think that I still think that uh, with the amount of combinations than there is, I think that it's going to be really hard to implement a tool that would be even as good as Hold'em Resource Calculator is. And I think that it might be hard to even implement anything like Sit and Go Wizard that has only like locked ranges, that the 5% range always means the same type of hands. Actually, I think that it should be possible to make, like, if you are always making the same 5%, make the same 5%, then it's probably going to be possible to create three-way equities as well. But it's still going to be a harder game to solve than Texas Hold'em. And Danitas says that how about the PLO high-low 50-50 progressive knockout sit and go format? That sounds like a mouthful. I think that for tournaments, the no limit structure works really well for tournaments. So, like, I think that one of the problems with PLO is that it's pot limit for tournaments, and it doesn't lend itself that well. And pot limit is also one more thing to explain. And that's why I think that like the no limit Omaha High Low is a better tournament game than the PLO. Okay, now let's screw NXP Ninja. Detrito said, I see you wanna have a tool where you can see are you making the right play and be 100% sure about it. No, but I'm in general, I'm interested in, if you are saying that something is not more complicated or something can be solved, then I usually want to have an explanation of why. And usually I wanna be able to understand it in terms of combinations, like understanding it for example on how much memory would a calculation need to take, so that I'll know that for what kind of a level is something solvable or not. And basically, like, if we are thinking about the level of solvability, I think that the like pot limit Omaha heads up equities are going to be about the same size as three-way equities are. Oh, we did screw NXP Ninja, and he's not going to actually, he's going to screw us over in here. So we did lose to him with our pocket aces. Kauris84, has the projection screen arrived in Tallinn and how does it work? Well, the Kauris design is something that's contagious, and we have been modding it a bit to make it a green screen here, and we are not yet there. It's surprisingly hard. Like, we got a fabric that's green, that's the right green, the exact right green, but we didn't take into account that we bought fabric that is stretchy. And like that, does I have been thinking about tournaments, or if they were pot limit pre and NL after, what would happen to ICM? Nothing. Like, ICM doesn't care if it's fixed limit, pot limit, no limit. ICM is just going to be a tool that tells you how much a certain stack size is worth. And like, you are probably thinking about what would happen for different ICM calculators, since ICM calculators usually want to have a pre-flop exit and at every point. Like, in pot limit, it would require that if you are having like 10 big blind stack size, the 10 big blind stack size would the 10 big blind stack size in here, even though we have a good hand, I actually don't even think that, I'm unsure that is this going to be a good value bet on the river when we need to still, like, this opponent can just shove us in the shove us to the max so often, and when NXP Ninja is our worst enemy, we pretty much can't fold against 2.5 big blind raise. But for Kauris, when we have gotten the green screen to work, like, I tried the green screen and it was slightly too small. Like, if I put it right after my chair, it's something like this wide. So couldn't make it work, so needed to Kauris design a bit different system to there, and it's like halfway done. Need to have a fabric that doesn't stretch, or a method to stretch the fabric better, or use it in a different way. But the stand that came with it is really good, and there will be some use for the stand. But that actually had a interesting spot on one of my PLO tournaments. Guy folds top 2 and says to the chat, sick ICM spot. I think that he was referring to what's going to. I think that he's referring to a situation where there's just going to be a spot where you probably need to fold even top 2. Like, with ICM, there are spots that you'll need if you need to play for your whole stack. It might be that if you are having 60% equity, it's just not enough, since, like, the basis, I think that for that result, for us to have a good conversation about the ICM, you should be watching our introduction to ICM that explains. I think I have done it in English and in Finnish both, but there's an introduction to ICM video, which, like, ICM is not something that's even ICM is not even something that has originated or has been done for poker. ICM is actually done to horse racing. And, like, when there are payouts for when there are different payouts for first, second, third, and different options to gamble for them, I think this is actually a good spot to get people to fold, and we still have 2 overcards, so we should have quite a solid spot, and opponent shouldn't have threes here. But, like, there is ICM in tournament situations pretty much always, if it's not a winner takes all tournament. And even if you can't calculate it, like even if you play fixed limit hold'em and you can't calculate an exact exit on the pre-flop, there's still going to be ICM and it's going to dictate your options that you are having open. And something like in PLO, it usually matters that the first one in PLO that can get the money in is having an advantage since the equities are running so close. And usually, especially in pre-flop, usually you need to have a higher than a coin flip, significantly higher than a coin flip equity. And in Texas Hold'em, it's different in a way since the equities are further apart in general. Like when we are having spots where opponent can shove 100% and we know that there are some hands that are going to be 70% against the range, but there are going to be proportionally lower amount of hands in PLO that are having really high equity against a random hand. Deadly will post the hand on PLO and ICM spot, and I promise to take a look on the PLO ICM spot if you can still find it. That and I can calculate some of the what's the ICM and how much equity would you require in the spot, and it might clear a bit on the spot. Would ace-9 suited three-handed right table be a good place to limp? Ace-9 suited, trying to find ace-9 suited. Screw that guy. Betting against me when I'm thinking about. Yeah, this is the ace-9 suited spot. Could be a limp. Could be a limp, but I think that we want to have as much fold equity as we can there. Probably I think this is going to be a good hand to turn into a bluff on the river. River still. Might actually be a good idea to soon stop opening new games. Like king 4, if opponent would shove, this would be a really easy call. And I think that it's still going to be. Like if opponent shoves, I don't think that we can get away from that. And if opponent just min raises, I think that we'll need to be at least as aggressive. Like opponents in general, they are doing stupid stuff, and opponent calls me with 8-5 off. Whoa. So he's tilted, or he's thinking about that. Let's play Lotto then. Kauris said that here is a bigger screen, but I don't know if it works for the same stand. How wide is the screen? Like when we measured, it was like we would require at least 2 meters wide screen, and the fabric was really good on the screen. That was like 130 centimeters times 130 centimeters, but it was just too small in total. But I'd say on Deathritol that watch the video on the basics of ICM. It's only about ICM. It's nothing about Texas Hold'em or anything you might find dirty. So it's just about the mathematical concept of ICM. And actually for Kauris, even the 1.3 meter projection screen, the projection screen part of it doesn't work. I kind of probably drilled a bit through it and took a hammer to it to modify it for our use. And basically, when you said VCoop is just around the corner and trying to understand tournaments more deeply, that's a good motivator. And on ICM, you mainly need to worry about it on the final table. And basically, the smaller pots you play compared to your stack size, the less ICM matters. The bigger pots you play, the more ICM matters. And if you are playing for all of the marbles, then usually ICM matters a lot. But people are using like Nash calculations for pre-flop. They're using ICM interchangeably for that. And they are using like ICM tools, even though the ICM tools are combining like something like Hold'em Resources calculator. Okay, people are saying that it's an ICM calculator. Yes, it's an ICM calculator, and then it has some pretty sophisticated game theory modeling for like counterfactual regret minimization. I probably screwed that one up. And then there is like fixtures play that makes it possible to calculate the Nash equilibrium plays when you know that when you in shove and fold or shove on 3-bet situation where all the exits are pre-flop exits, and you can pretty much calculate any two-way or three-way situation with HRC that ends in pre-flop. Mm, I think even for satellites, like if you can unregister after a satellite and have it in tournament money, I think that in most of those cases you still shouldn't play 2K games. Like if you're playing satellites, and of course in satellites ICM is not just important in satellites, it's fucking important. So like if you are playing a lot of satellites and you don't have a good ICM knowledge, you are probably burning money. If you are not just playing satellites, that winner takes it all. Okay, these are going to be the final games for this session. Should be about 2 hours in total. And even for $500 rebuys are going to be even $500 rebuys are going to be quite big, since if you are playing rebuys, you are screwing up the games. And like if somebody says that they're going to play a rebuy tournament and they are not always getting to the add-on, I would never buy any shares from a player like that, because I think that they are just leaving so much money on the table on those games and playing so scared money that I don't think that it's a plus EV option. And mostly they are those deadline sats and where you can't unregister. Well, that's crappy one then. And then you just need to note that usually with satellites you'll need to usually with satellites that especially if you can't unregister, you'll need to take note on the bankroll management that the bankroll required to play satellites where you can't unregister from the target tournaments are going to be really close to the target tournament's worth. Like even if you have a $30 satellite for like let's say $30 satellite for 1K event, the bankroll required to play the $30 satellite if you are a big winning player on the satellites might be the same that you'll require to play something like $800 game, since the thing that matters is that if you have a deadline satellite for some money, it's still going to be that you are going to get a net reward only if you are getting in the money in the final event, and you are like, you need to go through the satellite, and after the satellite you'll need to still go through the through like 85% of the field in the final tournament. Kauri says that width is 180 centimeters. I think that 180 centimeters is still going to be too little. On the other hand, if we would have had a 180 centimeter, I probably would have Kauris designed a better mod for it. But I'll show it sometimes, or I'll take some pictures when we get it better. And yeah, also one tip is that the satellite buy-ins, if you can play multiple deadline satellites, that you might get some of the satellite money as tournament dollars, then it might be completely different. That if you can get some of the money as tournament dollars, then the bankroll requirements can drop down quite a lot. Like if you can play 20 satellites and get like 8 tickets, but get 7 of those in real money, then the bankroll requirements are going to be way less than the final tournament's bankroll requirement. And Kauris, that's what we are doing as well. So we are building a bigger one. Hmm. This is profitable against the any two range for sure. I think this is profitable against this guy still. But for something like the yesterday's $33 sat to $320 PLO high roller, I think that like even if you are a really good satellite player, it's still going to be the bankroll requirements are going to be about the same than if you would play like $250 tournament. And usually the bankroll requirements for playing $250 tournaments are going to be quite high. Yeah, this is a horrible spot. Like shove is going to be probably okay, but is it going to be the best possible option? Think not. Hit one of the better flops with the king 9. But basically, the background fabric that we have right now, it's stretchy, and stretchy background fabric means that there are waves. And waves are not a good thing for a green screen when you need to have as close to a non-reflective smooth surface as possible. But I have been thinking about that this looks so much like Kauri's design. Like using something like 30 euros for materials and trying to make it work. And as Detrito said, gas games are still bread and butter to me. Yeah, even though gas games are bread and butter to you, I think it's still going to be good for you to understand the bankroll management for tourneys as well. Even if you are playing tourneys like at some intervals, it's like I think it's important to understand, for example, in satellites, that the satellites don't lower the bankroll requirements that much. And usually, if you have an option to play like $30 satellite to a 320 player game, or a 55 player or $55 game, it's usually going to be way better for bankroll management wise to play the $55 game than the smaller satellite to a bigger game. Mm, can we screw this guy in the pot somehow? Let's try. Nah, he didn't take the bait. Okay, this looks like nice. And I have had one table where I had 3.5k chips. So like more than 3/4 of all the chips when we were on the bubble in four-handed, and I bubbled the game. That's that's kind of a reverse record of doing something nice. But that's a win, and a win is a win. I think after that win, and after having one game at having one game at or two games at three-handed, makes that we are going to make a profit. Actually, min raising and trying to get as much money in is going to be the most profitable way here. And Neo said that today I shoved deuces on button for around 10 turning big blinds effective over a fishy cutoff limper four-handed in 6 max. He folded and shoved 8s. Yeah, those are awesome spots. Then you just need to mark the guy and need to like, this is the guy I'm going to abuse. Like this is the guy. This is a guy that will find a lot of shoves against him in the future. Mm. But so we are going to make a profit on today's stream for sure, and the profit is going to be a nice profit. That much I can promise to you. Like we are at plus 20 bucks right now, and we are still having games running where we are in the money. So it's going to be more than 20 bucks. I think if we win all the games, it will be like 40 bucks or something. And this doesn't look like winning, I must say. Deuce or an 8 would have been pretty nice. Nasty in a way in a monotone board, but I think that we should be taking this pot down with a small bet pretty much every time. Like if opponent doesn't have a diamond, he's going to fold there for disproportionate amount of times. Open-ended straight draw. I don't see my opponent getting us out of this hand easily. And now it's like, do I have fold equity? If I have fold equity, this is going to be an awesome shove. We pretty much can't call this one. We can't call this bet. We might be able to shove it. This is a bit like no balls, no calls, but if opponent would have bet like half the pot, it would have been an easy call. When he bets a full pot, I don't think that we are having enough fold equity. And Kauris, profit. Yeah, I said profit. This is going to be a profitable day. Or not, the day is not going to be profitable. Since when we started this stream, we were like, when we started this stream, we were like 40 bucks down, so this is not going to be a profitable day, but this is going to be a profitable stream. And when I yell profit to you on your headphones, I'm so sorry. Oh, well, we got it in good. We got it in so good. Now let's wait for a while to get the real results. And sorry about the break screen. I just don't want to open the PokerStars cashier since it has all the addresses and stuff like that that you can't easily hide. So I think we are something like 28 bucks up, which is quite nice, quite nice. Waiting for the last moments or last tournaments to import. So there's the first one. I think 28 bucks is going to be about what it is. 27.34 and net adjusted of 4.54. Should be good. Actually, we are still waiting for the last tournament to process. Project Ostrich succeeds on the stream. Yeah. Succeeding on the stream and still having a positive EV. So this is the streams going today, and I'd say this is quite nice for 41 games. And if we are thinking about today, it fixed it a bit, so we are closer to break even for today. But I'd still say that I have had better runs as well. And doing a few of these runs will not make your mental game happy, but challenges will make your mental game happy. And Donitas says that soon next reward. We are actually 58% complete on the reward, so like if we would have started at 0, we would be like 17% to hit our next reward. But right now we are still 42%, so 42% is something like, I think, 700 games. So it should be just one big grinding day to hit the 700. And it's also something to note here that if we are like taking the project, it looks like we are making like 20 bucks. So it's quite horrible, and it's under what I expected to have here. And like 4% at 1.5, it's nothing to be too excited about. I think if the previous project is taken into account, then it's something like closer to 5 in 9 maxes, but the 6 maxes are almost completely break even. But the ITM has been horrible in those, not getting those heads ups. But if we are looking at this with the rake back on, it's going to be like now we should be at the all-time high on the EV, and we should be like 10 bucks down. So this is also something that shows you in a way that how much these games are raked, and also to show you like if the two projects would have been run after each other, I would be like winning. And if I would be running according to my EV, I would be running like at 90 buy-ins. So 90 buy-ins would be winning $117. So I would have had multiple tries in hitting the 3.5s. And actually this would be even better if I'm If I'm taking out the 3.5s where we hit the roadblock pretty hard. So like in 1.5s, this would be like 133 bucks. So we would have been trying up for something like 3 or 4 times to get the 3.5s. But as you can see, if you are running pretty bad, we would still be at negative after that. But the negative would be still that like the projects wouldn't be that hardly affected. Of course, the first project would probably have been a failure as well if you would be getting the rake back smoothly all the time. But it would be way nicer. So like this is it when we are not taking rake back into account in these two games or two projects, and this is when we are taking it into account. So and they have said that ostrich will stay forever and ever. Yeah, I thought that it's going to be a nice idea to make a farm for birds that don't fly, but I think one of the ostriches, when they are released or when they got when they get away, you'll need to have a car to get those back. So those birds are fast. And Kauris says that upswing is just a start. I hope so. And deserved beer for Arni. Yeah, I actually might be doing another session after this. Might be. I don't know. Might also be that I'm taking a beer and a movie. But upswing is nice. Upswing is nice, and this is something that the project for sure would require to succeed. And like we are not that much down, and we are still at 108. So good opportunities to go up, and the $55 bonus is just around the corner. So thanks everybody for watching. Nice to have some chat here as well. Probably the next stream is going to come next week. I'm thinking about doing it on Monday. Probably Monday and Tuesday are going to be the stream days next week, and then might be like Friday or Saturday. Depends a bit on how things go on our end. But Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday likely are not going to be stream days. Xpayasito X asked that how did you add rakeback in PT4? On our forum on the insiders thread, there is there insiders forum. There are these custom stats for PT4, and you can download the different graphs there, and you can have in these you can have in this graphs view, you can have this overlay stats, and here you can configure. So I have added here stats like microcurrency net adjusted, buy-ins adjusted, and buy-ins 1 with rakeback. And then in here with the configuration, I have been taken the myCnet one, that's the only graph you can't completely get rid of, and taken it out completely. So it works, and you'll need to have a sum figure in here. Otherwise, just shows you like how much you have won or lost in a certain game. Thanks for the question. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the encouragement. But today, right now, it's time to end. Have a really good midsummer. If you are going to sleep, have a good night. If you are playing poker, may this be a winning night for you. Bye!